UAE, and Kuwait round out the top 5 in terms of the Islamic banking assets totals. Sukuk, the other main driver of Islamic finance development, is also in a healthy and robust state. We have about $800 billion in total value, Sukuk value outstanding in 2022, which represents an 11% growth in the Sukuk value outstanding in 2022. And there are now almost 5,000 total number of Sukuk outstanding. Again, some of the countries that are most developed in Islamic finance dominate the total value of Sukuk outstanding, such as Malaysia, Saudi Arabia, and Indonesia, but also UAE and Qatar. And again, the projection is there in the dark color bar in the graph, and you can see it will almost double from about 700 billion to around 1.3 billion as well. So 1.3 trillion, sorry. So it's quite a big jump projected as well. And that's in line with the previous impressive growth in Islamic finance, Sukuk. I won't spend too much time on these sectors because you can read the report in more detail, and I would highly encourage you to go afterwards to see the report as well more in detail. You can download it from the Zawiya website, and I'll share the link with the QR codes at the end of this presentation. But suffice to say, Islamic funds makes up one of the other segments in the Islamic finance space, and it's also moving along at a healthy pace with about $200 billion, or rather $220 billion in total Islamic finance assets under management. That was a decline, however, of 10% in Islamic funds in 2022, year on year. So there are challenging macroeconomic headwinds for Islamic funds at the moment. And there are still about 2,200 total Islamic funds outstanding at the moment. And again, the rankings dominated by the usual countries: Iran, Malaysia. United Kingdom is an interesting one because it's a non-OIC country, and it's got a strong legal and regulatory infrastructure which facilitates Islamic funds growth as well. Saudi Arabia and Turkey also round out the top 5. And then there's also other Islamic finance institutions such as the capital markets ones and the Islamic fintechs, which help spur the other Islamic finance institutions, OIFI sector as well. What's interesting to note here is that, again, the asset size, while it may look small, is still growing at a healthy pace. So it's $167 billion in total other Islamic finance institution assets, and it's also growing at a healthy pace of 6% year on year compared to the 2021 figures. And you can see that there are almost around 800 total OIFIs, and there are 124 Islamic fintechs as well. Takaful is another part of the Islamic finance industry development segments, and it's growing at a healthy pace of 16% year on year. And there are now almost 350 Takaful operators globally. Again, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Malaysia, Pakistan, and UAE round out the top 5. So what we find is that generally with the Islamic Finance Development Indicator, the countries that are in a good development state have a good all-round performance, not just on one or two segments, but overall on the different key segments of Islamic finance development. Of course, it's not just about the financial performance, it's also about the supporting ecosystem. Governance is a key factor as well in terms of the supporting legislation and regulation that helps build out the ecosystem for Islamic finance. Two key numbers here would be Islamic banking and Sukuk numbers. There are 52 countries which have Islamic banking regulations, and 31 now which have Sukuk regulations, which is quite an impressive number if you think about the growth in the past 5-10 years. And it's showing that the facilitative measures are coming into place now and coming into their own to help grow the maturing Islamic finance ecosystem globally. And if you look at sustainability, as it's another key dimension in the index because of the growing importance of sustainability globally as well. And within Islamic finance, we have ESG Sukuk, bank financing, and Islamic funds, which help drive sustainability product offerings as well. Some key figures there as well would be that there are 42 countries with sustainability guidelines in the OIC as well. So it's quite an impressive figure when you think about it. And the numbers involved as well, $24.4 billion in terms of total value ESG Sukuk outstanding, are to be commended, of course, as well. And finally, we have knowledge and awareness as the other two main dimensions of the IFDI report indicator. Again, knowledge is covering mostly the qualification side of things and the education side, whereas awareness covers events, and virtual events are continuing to grow as well post-pandemic. And with that in mind, I'd like to now pause and show you another video on the transition to the OIC Megatrends and look at the future of Islamic finance, and show you, again, a quick video before I launch into the key findings of this report. This report is actually being launched today live, so it's an exclusive for this event. So just some background to the report. The report this year, the OIC Megatrends Report 2024, covers 6 new megatrends globally. 2 of them are on economics, 2 of them are environments, and 2 of them are on ecosystems. In fact, the theme for the report is shifting environments, shifting economies, changing environments, and adapting ecosystems. And you'll see that these 3 segments interplay with each other in quite a few different ways. And the first 2 trends cover the economic part, the next 2 trends cover the environmental part, and the final 2 trends cover the cross-cutting factors that affect ecosystem adaptation across the OIC markets. And you can see from the middle column on the display that there are various Islamifying solutions already in play to help ameliorate the situations and the disruption caused by these global megatrends. And the aim is hopefully that by 2030, we'll see a marked improvement in terms of key indicators for the OIC, such as the society indicators, economic indicators, and also technology, perhaps 40 unicorns by then as well in the OIC, whereas I think at the moment it's currently 8 to 10. So looking at the trends in more detail, we see the key insights in one slide here, the 6 megatrends with the key charts. I'm going to go into detail now a bit and go through them one by one by theme. So looking at the first area, shifting economies, we see that the 2 trends are uneven in macroeconomic performance and sharing and platform economies. And what's interesting is on the first trend, macroeconomic performance, a lot of the OIC countries actually are not very well rated on their global sovereign credit ratings. And those are a barometer in a way, as you all know, for wider economic development and growth prospects as well. In fact, most of them, rather half of them, are scoring 40 or below on the sovereign credit rating risk by trading economics. And 35, as you saw in the display in the video, was speculative grade or below. So there's work to be done in terms of improving the macroeconomics of OIC countries. The interesting thing as well is that we find that in the report that certain OIC countries are getting out of the pandemic better or with a more impressive growth trajectory than other OIC countries. And that's due, in fact, to the fact that they have better ability to service their debts. So macroeconomic performance debt, ability to service debt is crucial to come out of the pandemic and recover and move forward to the next stage of growth for the OIC. And there are some fine solutions such as Sukuk and multilateral Islamic debt solutions by key stakeholders out there that can help ameliorate the situation. Looking at the second economic trend, sharing and platform economies, we've all heard about the Ubers, the Airbnbs, the various platforms, the Creams of the world as well. And what we did in the report was we looked at these platforms' impact in the OIC countries and looked at how they show these countries are showing the promise of enabling platform economies within their own geographies as well, with the right infrastructure in place. So as you can see from the bar chart, the blue bar shows you the performance of the global average in terms of the platform index, the digital platform index, and the black bar shows you the performance of OIC countries, which is slightly lower. But it's not a huge gap, and that's the insight, that it's not a huge gap between the OIC and the rest of the world. And there are success stories in the OIC, and we highlight some of the success stories in the report as well for the sharing and platform economies. So suffice to say, although there's uneven macro performance across OIC countries, there is a good basis for them to build better and faster forward as well with the rise of aspects such as the sharing platform economies. So these two trends are quite complementary in a way, if you think about it. And then looking at the next prong of the megatrends, we looked at changing environments because it's in the news all the time these days and it can't be ignored. The impact of the environment change that's happening with us, climate change. We want to just look at the flooding in the region recently as well to know that climate change is very real and has an impact tangibly as well, globally and regionally as well within the OIC. So the two trends we picked out were green economy and urbanization, and both of these have a significant environmental impact. In fact, if you look at green economy, the graph shows you a line chart which shows the steady growth of ESG Sukuk issuances over the past few years. And what that highlights is that there's substantial potential to help invest in the green economy in OIC countries. Some of you might be aware of statistics that a lot of OIC countries are especially vulnerable to climate change, and in that respect, building out solutions through Islamic finance is very helpful to ameliorate this problem, which affects OIC countries perhaps more disproportionately than non-OIC countries. And then urbanization is also an interesting trend that we picked out, and there's much more detail in the report. So again, I'd encourage you to look at the report and download it in your own time and go through the data and the charts and also the write-up as well. Because what we found was that, among other things, growing urbanization increases the need for sustainable development, urban development in the OIC countries, and that OIC markets need to be better equipped to handle growing urbanization. And there are solutions, and we highlight some of the solutions for Islamic finance to play a role in OIC markets in the report. So I won't spend too much time going into that at the moment. Just to highlight that it's not, we made a conscious effort to highlight not just the economic side of the megatrends, but also the other aspects such as the environment as well here. And the third aspect, which we move on to now as well, is the adapting ecosystems. And I want to spend a bit of time here because it's quite important to look at the factors that are affecting change across the OIC, which are not so tangible in some ways, but which have a certainly a large impact, such as global supply chains and future of work, as you see on this slide. So when we talk about adapting ecosystems, we talk about the factors that are impacting the OIC in a cross-sectoral, cross-functional manner. And that's firstly global supply chains. And as you can see, the OIC has a portion of the global trade market at around 10 to 12%, hovering around that segment, around that percentage for the past few months and years. And that shows you that although the OIC has a significant population and GDP, it's not contributing as much as it can to global trade, so it's a latent opportunity to increase trade and global supply chain resilience within the OIC. And we go into that as well in the report in terms of how the OIC markets are an important part of the logistics systems in emerging markets especially, with the GCC positioned well to lead the way, but also other areas of Islamic finance geographies are also well positioned to help develop their supply chain resilience. And also, there are several Islamic finance fintech and fintech-related solutions that help emulate the global supply chain issues for OIC markets as well. So we're seeing global Islamic finance supply chain issues, fintechs coming up with with solutions for the halal economy as well, and halal economy segments as well, to help improve on that. And that leads me nicely into the final segment, because there's a lot of disruption globally, and we're all aware of that. But what does that actually mean for OIC markets? And that's why we close the report with the future work trend. We've all heard about AI disruption, ChatGPT, the rest, and how this can have a significant impact on the employment market across the globe. And you'll see from the bar chart that the OIC averages are slightly different from the global averages in terms of preparedness for future work. So what the bar chart is basically telling you at a high level is that OIC countries lag non-OIC countries in AI readiness, and the impact of AI on jobs in the OIC is potentially far-reaching and potentially more reaching than the trends, the effectiveness trend in maybe non-OIC countries, which may be more prepared on AI readiness as an indicator. Having said that, more can be done in OIC countries and globally to address this future work trend, such as creating national and regional strategies, and also building out the talent and entrepreneurship ecosystems to create more success stories. So in a nutshell, these two trends, adapting ecosystem trends, are very cross-sectoral, high-level in a way, but they're also very important and crucial to development of Islamic finance. And one of the key aspects is stakeholder cooperation, because these are cutting across geographies. Supply chain knows no boundaries. Future work knows no boundaries as well. So it's very important for our stakeholders to work together and come to some good solutions as well throughout the Islamic finance ecosystem. And we highlight some of the solutions in the report as well. Of course, once again, I'd like to encourage you to download the report. And you've seen the videos. You can see the QR codes here for the report as well. So I'd encourage you to take a minute to scan the QR codes now if you have some time, and look at the reports in greater detail on Zawiya.com. The left-hand QR code is for the IFDI report, which is the now, so to speak, the current state that we discussed. And the OIC Megatrends, which is launch day 2024, is on the future looking aspects of the Islamic finance world. And with that, I'd like to end my presentation, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for Mr. Tayyib Ahmed for this very thorough presentation. Now we would like to invite Dr. Elvin Effendi, who's the Division Head and Corporate Strategy and Research Strategy Department at ICD, لأنه he wants to يشاركنا بعض التأملات عن.
He is going to share with us some aspects of this report. He is most welcome.
Thank you very much. Again, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As a continuation of our very long-lasting and solid partnership with the Refinitiv, I'm super happy again to reiterate our gratitude and thanks to the Refinitiv team. As an ICD multilateral development bank, compared to the traditional banks that you have, we basically feel responsibility to produce public goods. And this is one of the areas that we basically do produce this kind of and spend efforts and time and money to come up with this kind of reports and studies that does not necessarily bring us any profit. It's the use of for the public and global. And with this kind of studies, you see, like especially the Megatrend shows you that we are trying to be a bit of futuristic and come up with this strategic foresight. Basically see what's coming and how we can basically, in terms of opportunities as well as risks and challenges, in terms of how we can embrace them in the whole community of Islamic financial institutions. And this is not ending there. We are very happy, for example, today to see that the champion country like Malaysia, using our report on Islamic Finance Development Index, basically to prepare their own intervention strategy for the other member countries, how they can help basically to address the gaps or the issues on the Islamic finance industry. A few months ago, we had a meeting with the Central Bank and the Securities Commission of the Malaysia, where we basically discussed the report's usage for them basically to understand the needs of our member countries, and then based on that to prepare their own, we call it reverse linkages or the South-South cooperation type of interventions. Another is our last year flagship report on the infrastructure outlook that we prepared with the Refinitiv again. Now it's taking another step. As an ISTB group, we are preparing our country-based infrastructure intervention strategy based on this kind of study. So going forward, definitely more to come. We are working very closely with Refinitiv to come up with the new ideas and the topics that basically in the best interest of everybody in the room. And in this regard also, I would highly encourage all of you in the room to basically be proactive and provide us with the new ideas, suggestions, feedback, both on improving the current reports as well as with coming up with new ideas. With this, again, thank you very much for your attention and pleasure to work with you in the future as well. Thank you.